the days that followed, I found myself living a life I hadn't imagined possible again. As the ship's cook, I prepared meals for the crew, always making sure to save some for Benny. Through these simple gestures, I began to carve out a space in Benny's life, gently guiding him and sharing my experiences of the sea. Every evening, we would sit on the deck, watching as the sky was painted with hues of red and orange, our conversations filling the space between us. Benny's initial disbelief at my presence aboard the Sea Serpent gradually gave way to acceptance, and soon, he started sharing more about his dreams and fears. One such evening, Benny, visibly troubled, turned to me. "Elijah, do you think I can ever overcome my fear?" "My mother." His voice trailed off, the pain evident in his eyes. "Benny," I began, looking at him solemnly. "Fear is a part of us. It's not about getting rid of it, but learning to carry it. The sea, she's unpredictable, but also forgiving. She took our loved ones, but she's given us a chance to learn, to grow." Our conversations often veered towards the memories of our lost loved ones, the sorrow we carried, and our shared fear of the sea. Over time, I noticed a change in Benny. His fear started to ebb, replaced with a newfound respect for the sea. Underneath the wide canvas of the starlit sky, our bond deepened. His dream to sail wasn't extinguished, rather it was slowly being fueled by our shared experiences. As the Sea Serpent plowed its way through the rolling waves, Benny and I found solace in each other's company. A mentor and a friend, I took pride in watching Benny grow, each day bringing him closer to confronting his fears. Yet, little did we know that the sea was about to test us in ways we couldn't have anticipated. The day started like any other, the sun rising from its slumber, casting an orange glow over the sea. Benny and I were on the deck, sharing our morning silence when the serenity was disrupted by the urgent call of a crew member from the crow's nest. A storm was brewing on the horizon. The air quickly became charged, the crew scurrying around, securing everything in preparation for the incoming tempest. As the ship began to sway under the increasing force of the winds, I caught sight of Benny, his knuckles white against the ship's railing, his face paler than the foaming waves crashing against the hull. I made my way to him, grabbing his shoulder in a reassuring grip. "Benny," I said, attempting to keep my voice steady over the roaring sea and wind, "remember what we've spoken about. The sea can be unpredictable, but we must learn to navigate through our fears." Benny nodded, but his eyes betrayed his fear. He was looking at the swelling waves, the memories of his mother's fate probably flooding back. "I'm scared, Elijah," he admitted, his voice barely audible. "I know, Benny," I responded, my grip tightening around his shoulder. "But remember, fear is only as deep as the mind allows. We navigate this storm, not because we are not afraid, but because we must to survive. Trust the Sea Serpent, trust me, and most importantly, trust yourself." As the storm descended upon us, turning day into night, I stayed with Benny. Together, we faced the wrath of the sea, the fear, and the uncertainty, our bond deepening amidst the chaos. Through the tumultuous night, we stood our ground, weathering the storm, unaware that this ordeal was preparing us for a trial even greater. Days after the storm, with calmness restored, the Sea Serpent continued her voyage. But an undercurrent of unease lingered, a ghostly presence from the stormy depths. The crew whispered stories of a phantom ship that surfaced during storms, claiming the lives of sailors as retribution for disturbing the sea. Superstitious chatter maybe, but it added an eerie atmosphere to the ship. One evening, while Benny and I sat beneath the inky expanse of the star-studded sky, he voiced the question that had been haunting the crew. "Elijah, do you believe in the ghost ship?" I took a moment before answering. "The sea is vast, Benny. It holds mysteries we may never understand. But remember, not all ghosts are to be feared. Some are just lost souls, much like us. Days turned into weeks, and the phantom ship remained a specter in our conversations. However, it was an incident in the galley that reminded us of our shared purpose. One of the crew members slipped near the edge during a turbulent wave, hanging precariously over the roaring depths below. Without a second thought, Benny leaped into action. He reached the sailor in time, pulling him back onto the deck. His face was pale, beads of sweat trickling down his forehead, but his eyes shone with a determination I hadn't seen before. Later, he confessed, "I feared I would freeze, Elijah, like I usually do. But then, I remembered your words, we navigate through our fears." I realized I had the strength to act, to save a life. In that moment, I saw Benny in a new light. No longer a young boy plagued by fear, but a sailor confronting his demons. Despite the ghost ship's spectral presence, Benny was transforming, proving that even in the face of legends and mortality, courage could rise from the depths. As the months passed, life on the Sea Serpent found a rhythm, a balance between the humdrum and the extraordinary. Benny and I continued to share our silences and conversations under the expansive canopy of the sky, each passing day weaving our lives tighter. One cool evening, as we sat on the deck, the ship gently rocking beneath us, Benny turned to me, his gaze earnest. "Elijah, I can't thank you enough for being here, for helping me face my fear." His words warmed my heart, but before I could respond, he continued, Do you think they would be proud of us? Your wife, my mother?" I contemplated his question, the memories of Marianne flooding back. Her laughter that echoed in the wind, her love that was as deep as the sea. I believed, in all my heart, she would have been proud. "I believe so, Benny. They love the sea, and here we are, not letting our fears hold us back, but facing them head-on, journeying on the sea they loved." A comfortable silence settled between us, our thoughts wandering to the loved ones we had lost. The sea seemed to understand, her waves gentle, almost soothing. In that silence, we shared a moment of unspoken understanding, our grief and hopes merging with the endless rhythm of the sea. It was then I realized, Benny and I hadn't merely been confronting our fears or the ghosts of our pasts. We had been learning to live with them, to accept them as part of our stories. Just as the sea bore storms and calm, we too carried our fears and bravery within us. That night, under the vast, starlit sky, we acknowledged our journey, a testament to the human spirit's resilience, forever intertwined with the ebb and flow of the sea.